the Grain Growers Association says this will be a 30% tax hit on farmers who are looking to do intergenerational farm transfers.
Welcome back to Moose on the Loose. Today we've got the ultimate cringe of Justin Trudeau. He belts out in the middle of this big summit. They're doing a big photo op. This guy, he just can't stop. He can't stop. We've also got an interview here with Vassie. She rips the Liberals. We've also got Brian Lilley of the Toronto Sun. He rips the Liberals, as well as some other clips. Let's jump into this. So here's Captain Schmuck, and here's what he had to say at his little podium.
Record City News. On the $5 billion loan guarantee for Ukraine, you're putting Canadian taxpayers on the hook for a lot of money here. How confident are you that that money will be recouped? And can you talk about kind of the risks of that not happening?
Just to catch anyone up, if you didn't watch yesterday's video, Justin Trudeau is pledging $5 billion of Canadian taxpayer money to Ukraine. It's technically a loan. Are we getting this back?
Russia invaded Ukraine and has caused billions of dollars worth of damage to infrastructure, to individuals, and on top of killing too many Ukrainians. We think that Russia should be paying for that, and that's why the freezing of Russian assets and the use of the profits from those assets to support Ukraine in its fight against Russia is the right thing to do.
That's a very convenient answer, except where's the math on this? How many assets have been seized? How many billions of dollars have been seized? I bet you it's not that much. I bet most of it's coming out of our pocket. Of course, he would never be transparent enough to share those numbers with us. Now, jumping out of the source video here, I actually want to hop over to X, where Brian Lilley of the Toronto Sun has this posted. And I thought it was interesting, his comment here. Watch this Trudeau clip carefully. He's asked multiple times whether there are Liberal MPs named in the Cpac report. He refuses to say. Then he starts to cast doubt on Cpac.
Participants in foreign interference.
The issue of foreign interference is one that this government has taken incredibly seriously since 2015. We brought in the National Security and Intelligence Committee of Parliamentarians over the objections of the Conservative Party, and we created specific bodies of experts, of top civil servants to ensure the integrity of our elections. We've also called a number of different reports, including an ongoing report on foreign interference that we're working with right now to see how they can follow up on the Cpac report.
We've heard from Mr. Singh and Ms. May. They have both said that there are no members of their party who are named in the report. So I'll ask you again, are there any current Liberal caucus members named in the Cpac report that are wittingly or semi-wittingly participants in foreign interference?
I will allow Mr. Singh and Ms. May to speak for themselves.
Just editing this video back, I noticed he said, I will allow Jagmeet and Elizabeth May to speak for themselves. This sounds like someone who owns someone or something. You gotta wonder, I mean, Elizabeth May appears on the Pierre Elliott Trudeau Foundation website. We all know Jagmeet, Trudeau's little pet. He'll just do anything to get his pension. It's interesting language, though. I will allow. Easy there, dictator Trudeau.
I will allow Mr. Singh and Ms. May to speak for themselves.
Hi, it's Annie Bertrand-Oliver with CTV National News. Just going back on that, but why can't you say any more? Singh and May have both talked about this report and provided substantially more details than you have. So why are you unable to provide any details about what is in this Cpac report?
I think it's important that Canadians have confidence in our ability collectively as a democracy to defend the institutions and the processes around our elections and our democracy. That is why officials are engaging with the foreign interference inquiry to see how they can follow up on the Cpac report.
You're talking about how Canadians should have confidence in the work that's being done around foreign interference and to prevent that from happening. But Dominic LeBlanc, your own minister, has said that the government disagreed with the committee's interpretation of some of the intelligence. So what are some of the problems with this intelligence, and do you agree with that assessment?
Look at him, he's all like, crap, Dominic, what did you say?
Some of the concerns we have with the way the Cpac drew its conclusions, I think that is an important part of the process. Of course, when it comes to intelligence, there are important bodies like the Foreign Interference Inquiry that is tasked to look at this, and we will continue our work with them.
Yeah, look at this smug smile. This guy wants to undermine his own security agencies that are digging up real dirt. What a filthy rat. Looking at the comments here, that's what he does, deflect. He has that perfected. It's not me, look over there, because he's named in it. Yeah, I wonder. Next up, we've got this clip here. It says, a reminder, this is what the world really thinks of Canada's virtue signaling narcissist PM. So you can see we got Justin Trudeau standing over here by himself. What is he doing? This is such an embarrassing clip. So this goes on for another 30 seconds. He doesn't enter the group at all. Next up, we got the ultimate cringe clip ever. Though this is another one of their summit things for Peace for Ukraine summit. They have all these world leaders. They all get walked out to the back here to do a big photo op. They all line up. Justin Trudeau, I'll point out, he's right here. He is the one who yells out,
Slava Ukraini!
why, Justin? There he is right there. Slava Ukraini! Even Zelensky is surprised.
Slava Ukraini!
Trudeau, man, it's cringe. Just stop. Like, it's like, what are you, the prime minister of Ukraine? Look at her. She's shocked. Kamala Harris seems to like it. And some of these other people are just having a laugh. Oh, cringe Trudeau is. Can we just have one day where we don't have a loser running our country? Slava Ukraini! Zelensky, let's embrace! He should move to his beloved Ukraine. He's a traitor to Canada. That's well said. Cringe. Yeah. Like a true narcissist. We want an election now. Ew. No one even joined. Yeah. The world leaders all turned and looked at Trudeau like, WTF was that? One more for the road.
Slava Ukraini!
Next up in this clip, we've got Vasi. She's been pushing hard, pushing back like a bulldog. She rips this little liberal here.
Are you sure that this tax hike in particular was necessary to fund the investments that your government says is the purpose for doing all this? Is there not another way that your government could have approached this, perhaps spending less in other areas to fund the investments you say are priorities? Why hike taxes?
Okay. I want to make sure there's two words that I leave with them this evening from today's panel is tax fairness.
No.
And into that generational fairness. First of all, tax fairness in the sense that, yes, we are asking the wealthiest to pay a little bit more to fund strategic investments in health, in pharmacare, in full-day child care, in dental care, in a number in our housing measures. And there's also tax fairness within our tax system. So actually this measure leads to what's called integration within our tax system. This is the right thing to do from a generational point of view.
But respectfully, Mr. Speaker, my question was, you could have done other things rather than levy an additional tax on Canadians in order to pay for the things that you have deemed to be a priority. I'll give you some examples. The amount of money that's been spent on consulting since your government came into office has jumped 88%. That's billions of dollars that could have been saved, that could be directed to the priorities you're talking about. The public service has gone from, essentially almost 40%. It's increased in the same period of time. That, too, could have been managed differently, or ArriveCan, where the Auditor General can't find value for money, or 19 of 33 contracts to McKinsey and Company. Like, my point is, were there not other areas you could have looked at first, or did you do this to make a political point?
This is about tax fairness. It's about integration within our tax system. It's about
what
it means when a buck is a buck is a buck.
Oh, come on.
If you look at the tax mean, this way, when you look at income,
She keeps saying, what does that mean? All this dog crap. A buck is a buck is a buck. Tax fairness.
and the way it's taxed, it means you treat dividends and interest and capital gains, treating them in the same manner. So you remove disincentives for tax avoidance measures such as surplus stripping. It may be sort of technical.
It sounds really technical because the people who are talking to me are saying, I just feel like I'm being taxed
It's
more.
tax fairness. This impacts approximately 40,000 of our wealthiest citizens in our country on a yearly basis. The average worker out there, electrician, the carpenter, the nurse, their marginal tax rates are actually even higher than some of our wealthiest in this country.
You know what's really interesting is CBC came out with video today that the majority of Canadians at some point in their life will have one instance where they have capital gains, and it won't be these little capital gains. It won't be small amounts every year. It'll be one big capital gain. And it'll be the sale of a secondary house, a cottage, selling a plumbing business, a fishing business, or whatever business, where capital gains affects a lot of Canadians. I can't remember the number, like 63%. It's a large number of Canadians will have one capital gains in their life. In his example, he had the sale of a $1.3 million business. And after capital gains with the old inclusion rates and the new ones, the Liberals are taking an extra $94,000, with just the simple bump on there. That simple piece just debunks what this guy's saying, and that's the woke CBC. Now, to be fair, Andrew Chang, for the most part, he's the only one on CBC who seems to be pretty balanced.
This is about continuing to invest in Canadians, contraceptives and diabetes. So
you'd rather just do all that than look at areas you could spend less in and direct that money to the priorities that you rightly say are important for Canadians.
This is a choice on responsible leadership. Yes, there's an expenditure review happening with the.
You can see Andrew Scheer here. He's like steam's coming out of his ears.
And in fact, the IMF is forecasting that we will have the strongest economic growth in 2025. Combine that with the lowest deficit to GDP ratio out of any of the G20 countries, the lowest debt to GDP ratio out of the G7 countries.
I would counter if you divide that by the population. The OECD, for example, points out that Canada has had the slowest GDP per capita growth in the G7 since 2015. But I want to bring in your colleague. We'll come back. I want to bring in your colleague, Mr. Scheer.
Fassi coming with the checkmate on this guy.
A few things that my Liberal colleague said that just aren't true. First of all, they're not asking anyone. They're telling. That's what governments do when they raise taxes. They force people to pay. There's no request involved in it. And
that's a really important thing to note there. So when they say we're asking Canadians, just the wealthiest Canadians, to pay a little bit more, that's their communications officer softening the blow of the language to make the people feel better about something. They're taxing. You have to pay that. Just as Andrew Scheer just said, it's not asking, it's demanding. Canadians do have to pay those higher rates.
World-renowned economist Jack Mintz has concluded that 50% of people who will be hit by this earn less than $120,000 a year, and 10% earn less than $20,000 a year. This is going to affect millions of Canadians over time, and it's going to affect small business owners, just like when the Liberals raised taxes on small businesses a few years ago, saying, oh, it's just going to affect the wealthy. We found out, no, it affected the plumbers, the mechanics, the carpenters, the types of people who take a risk, start a business, employ people in their community. That's who is going to be hit by that.
Now, what's interesting about what he just said there, the people being hit by it, we've got this interview here with Brian Lilly, and he's got a really great take on this. We've got
the federal government has moved ahead with their capital gains tax changes, Brian. This despite speculation that they would maybe make some changes to offer carve-outs for some, including doctors. That hasn't happened yet. Now, Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland offered warnings of what would happen if this tax does not pass. What is she saying?
She was at a news conference on Sunday in Toronto announcing this and describing everything in the darkest terms. I mean, she said that democracy was at stake if this capital gains tax change doesn't happen. She described a future where the well-off have to live in gated communities with ever higher fences, using private healthcare and jets to get around because the rest of us are outside seething so much with red-hot anger. I mean, she made it sound like people would be out with pitchforks and torches if this tax change wasn't passed. You know, and she's also describing it as it's only affecting the uber wealthy. Just before talking to you, I got an email from the Canadian Grain Growers Association, one of many farm groups that have come out against this, along with medical associations, professional associations, basically anybody self-employed. And the Grain Growers Association says this will be a 30% tax hit on farmers who are looking to do intergenerational farm transfers. And the majority of their members in the grain growing sector of the economy, and the majority of those farms are family owned. They're not corporate farms. And about 40% of farmers are nearing retirement and want to pass on the land. What happens? They're going to take a 30% hit because of these tax changes. Doctors are warning about, retiring, cutting back their practices, or relocating. This is horrible policy that's just about trying to show up the Conservatives. This is partisan tax policy that's going to be detrimental for the economy.
Trudeau and the Liberals know this stuff. They know that the farmers, 40%, are retiring. We've got all these businesses that are going to be shutting down with them. We've got old people going on to the nether realm, passing over their houses. The Liberals want to scoop up as many of these tax dollars as possible. Meanwhile, in Calgary, we've got a water main that is broken in the city and it has turned into a real mess. I bet some tax dollars would help this, but forget about that. Let's just send more to Ukraine.
At 8 a.m. this morning, I signed the paperwork to declare a local state of emergency for the city of Calgary. This is not a decision that was made lightly, but as we shared yesterday at 5 p.m., the investigation of the broken feeder main pipe revealed that there are 5 more areas that are in need of repairs. Our city operations team has shared these necessary repairs mean that we are looking at another 3 to 5 weeks before water is flowing as it normally would.
3 to 5 weeks with no water or without primary water. Unbelievable. Going back to Brian Lilly here, he had a few more interesting things to say.
Caregiver side, there are already videos being put out on websites and social media by the immigration consultants telling people, hey, you can use this caregiver program to bring your brother, your sister into Canada. You can get your family here, do family reunification quicker by saying they're coming to look after your kids. This again is being used and abused. And the Trudeau Liberals don't know what to do on immigration. We've added 600,000 people to this country in the last 6 months. That's all immigration. That is not birth rate. We have a below replacement level birth rate.
600,000 people. So that's the equivalent to adding an entire Mississauga or North York or Winnipeg or Vancouver, Scarborough, Quebec. It's adding an entire city in 6 months. That's how many people. Like, this is breaking our country. Look at comparing that 600,000 down to these smaller cities. Like, that's triple Regina. That's more than triple, or triple Saskatoon. That's more than half the population of Calgary, the third largest city. Well, technically Vancouver is going to be in there. Anyways.
600,000 people since December 19th. That's untenable. Even the PM says we're bringing in people faster than we can absorb them.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, Brian, was in Calgary recently for the meeting of the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. Now, there was a point where Trudeau was booed, and then he, kind of kicked back, relaxed, and laughed at the audience?
Yeah, he was asked a question about the ballooning debt, the deficits, the fact that he's added $1 trillion to our debt since coming to office, and when are you going to balance the budget? And Trudeau went on this long rant about how great the Canadian economy is doing at a macro level. I mean, the rest of us are dealing with rising unemployment, housing affordability crisis, food affordability crisis. The economy for the average person is not doing as well as it used to. And he wants to point to a number or a study from an international group. That's not going to sit well with Canadians. Telling them they've never had it so good while things are going badly, it doesn't work. But at the end of the answer, yeah, he went on about the carbon tax and made his claim that 8 out of 10 people are better off with the carbon tax. That's been proven false when you factor in all the extras that are added onto it. But Trudeau will never admit that. And he denies the existence of the Parliamentary Budget Officer's report on that. So he just said, and you're better off with my carbon tax, sat back, the audience starts booing, and he lets out a cackle. Who cackles? Who laughs while they're getting booed by an audience? And the FCM is, it's city councilors, it's mayors across the country. City councils are used as recruitment grounds for Liberal politicians at the provincial and federal level. This is normally very friendly territory for him, and he got booed.
Trudeau, he's a loser in all aspects. It's disturbing is what it is, that little cackles after he gets booed by city mayors. What's also a little unnerving to watch is this clip from the World Economic Forum.
All the religious groups are against me because I'm talking about population. They want more souls. I want less on the planet.
He's laughing about depopulation. Yeah, that's real funny. In this video, Trudeau's talking about the announcement of legalizing 4 units as of right. This is basically allowing anyone to take their house and turn it into a fourplex.
We're making it so you can now build 4 units on the same plot of land that used to be just for 1 unit. That's called 4 units as of right. We've signed deals with all the big cities across Canada. Now we're going even bigger. We've put money down for provinces and territories. $5 billion to build the roads, public transit, and
blah, blah, blah. So basically this is something they did in the UK because they ran out of space and they turned them into flats. But Canada has lots of space. We don't need this. Next up, we got this clip here. Bill Blair update. The first 4 of 50 new armored vehicles built by Canadian workers for Ukraine. They're heading to Ukraine's armed forces. There's no audio on this video, but yeah. More money spent on a conflict that has nothing to do with us. I get it, Putin's doing bad things over there, but it's like Putin already said he'll end that conflict if Ukraine does a couple things. They don't join NATO. They back down. I think it's time to make a deal. They won't, though, because war equals money. All the companies building these, the companies building them in America, all the politicians involved. Money laundering scheme rolls on. How is this helping Canadians? We're broke. Proof yet again the Liberals do not work for Canada or its citizens. Traitors resign. So next up we have one of the most ridiculous clips. Not quite as ridiculous as Trudeau yelling Slava Ukraine at a photo op of world leaders, but it's up there. So this is actually filmed in LA. But they're removing U-turn signs because they are homophobic and need to be removed.
LA City Council members Hugo Soto Martinez and Nithya Raman were on hand today to help remove the signs. They say the no cruising and no U-turn signs were put up in the 1990s to prevent people in the gay community from meeting up with other gay people.
I was also surprised that these U-turn signs were still up. And at first, they seem a little, oh, okay, it's just a no U-turn sign. But when you learn the history of it and you realize that these were used to profile gay people, it's so important that we have these removed.
The LA City Council members say the signs were put up after the gay community began to grow and because there was a gay bar in that area.
This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. This has nothing to do with what sexuality these people are. Maybe back then that's true. There was a gay bar and people were doing U-turns to get there or park there. Who cares? Is that gay bar still there? This is a traffic sign. This is the woke garbage that people don't want. Anyone in the political spectrum, you got the left, you got the right, anyone in the middle, if they're not all the way over here, they're getting pushed all the way to the right side because of stupid crap like this. Good grief, what's next? Stop signs and yield signs? No words for this crap. Yeah. I bet the number of rear-ending incidents will go up now. Because it's all about their feelings. What about do not enter signs? Okay, next up we got this clip from Brampton. This is just getting ridiculous. Okay, I keep getting these copyright claims because there's Indian music on a lot of these clips, so... Okay, we're gonna turn that off. But yeah, this guy's driving on a sidewalk with this little car. What is this? It's not even a smart car. It's like some little Chinese car or something. What is this thing? What are we even looking at anymore? Alrighty, jumping over to my group here today. Let's see what we got. Today, Trudeau took his enormous private jet to the G7 meeting about climate change. This month, he's flown to Europe twice, burning over 144,000 kilograms of fuel and creating more carbon emissions than a medium-sized city does in a year. He goes around the world for photo ops while you use paper straws. Enemy of the people, yep, 100%. Coming soon. Let's hope so. One day, none of this will be yours. Capital gains. Our government is backwards. We are private citizens. The government should know nothing about us. They are public servants. We should know everything about them. This is so right on the money. Let's hear what these so-called science-loving liberals have to say about this as they harp on about forest fire season due to climate change. 2020, at the height of lockdowns, there was huge change in fires. So yeah, we can see I'll make this big here. This is going 1980 to 2022. I mean, we've got this black line here, which is the number of fires, and area burned is in blue, and you can see the decline. Statistics from CNFBD, Canadian National Fire Database. That's a great share. We've got a video here that's, I think, showing Canadian homelessness. I don't know where this is. Oh, it says Kelowna Rail Yard. I mean, I showed the one yesterday, a town, what was it, Princeton, 2,800 people. There's like 3 or 4 or 5 tents there. I mean, this is crazy. You know, these are just hardworking, normal Canadians. These aren't junkies or whatever that filled these areas up. Sure, maybe there's a couple in there, people addicted or whatever, but these are just majority of people just, you know, who are getting by paying $700 a month in rent, and now rent is $1,800 or $2,000 or whatever, and they can't afford it. Trudeau has sold out our country for his green initiatives, his eco-green slush funds, Ukraine funds, all this garbage that is doing nothing but destroying our country. And they look at it, they got 2 porta potties. Like, this is brutal. Look how long this video is. It just goes and goes and goes. There's got to be like 100 plus tents. There's got to be like 150 tents here. One location. This one's hilarious, a windmill with all the sheep in the shadow. We hope this photo awakens the awareness and importance of trees. How scary is this? Yeah. Well, that's where we're gonna wrap up this episode. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys thought about that cringe. Like, it was a little too, it wasn't just being patriotic about the Oilers. Congratulations to the Oilers, absolutely crushed the Florida Panthers tonight, 8-1 victory, just dominated them. It was a good game. It wasn't patriotic like that. It was something different. Slava Ukraini, Zelensky, come here, give me a big wet hug. Like, it's not only embarrassing, it's something a little bit very odd about that. And you can see it on the faces of all the other world leaders. They're like, what did this guy just say? Like, why? This is embarrassing. We're taking a photo out here. Is this guy drunk? It's a very bizarre clip. So that's going to wrap up this one. If you guys want to check out something a little bit different, I just uploaded a hiking video on my other channel. I summit a big mountain. I almost get hit in the head with a giant rock. I almost trip and fall off the mountain, as well as a few other fun surprises. That was a big sucker. If you want to check that out, I'll link that up right here. Thanks for watching the end of the video. Be sure to subscribe. We'll keep fighting for freedom. I'll see you guys in the next one.